Hey guys, Luke here, and welcome back to Season 3, Episode 13 on my James Hart Be Pro Career Mode on Rugby League Live 3. Now in this episode, we're going to be taking on the St. George Illawarra Dragons and the Canberra Raiders in rounds 21 and 22. You can see here, we didn't purchase any boosts, I don't think, so we don't have to worry about that. But bear in mind, this is a few seasons in, but you might not believe it, but Dragons and Raiders are both a top 4 side now. You're probably well aware that Dragons are a really good side on this game, but the Raiders not so much, but they must have recruited pretty well. I don't know what's to go there, but they've got a really good side. I think they've got Dylan Walker and Alex Johnson in their side. I just noted Moses Mbye is on the bench for them, so they have some really weird buys in this game, some really weird transfers. For many years, or for many seasons, I'm guessing on this, it was Widdop and Benji swapping over instead of, obviously them pairing up. Instead of Moses and Mbye and Widdop pairing up now, they got Drew Hutchison still in there. But that's alright, it's better for us that we're taking on Hutchison than taking on Mbye. We know what Mbye is capable of. In fact, he obviously played with us last season. Now, I think it's Josh Dugan on the ball just there, and that's a pretty big tackle there from James Hart. Obviously, Dugan's a very dangerous ball runner, and there's a few big ball runners in this side, so we'll be needing to make pretty good contact with the a high up, you would have to think. And I think it's Daniel Mortimer who's playing in the 5'8 position still, so hopefully we can see Josh Reynolds maybe get back in. But speaking of the devil, it's Daniel Mortimer who goes over and he scores a try, so it's pretty good to see a Mortimer back in the blue and white, but I would prefer to have Josh Reynolds in the side personally. But Hogginson kicks the goal, so 1 from 1. And I've got to say, James Hart hasn't done a hell of a lot so far, but he's sort of that's not such a bad thing. It's obviously in front, and it's just due to the team playing really well, and I think that's been really nice for us that the team's starting to do their job rather than James Hart having to carry them. Although there's still the odd occasion, well, not the odd occasion, it's actually pretty regularly, but we have to get involved in a tackle. But you can see here, I think it's Hutchison comes up with strong contact, but we end up dragging him along a little bit there, and we end up winning a penalty as well, which is something that doesn't happen very often, but it just shows the progress that we've made. I think we've only made 1 or 2 penalties in the past, and they were with the boost, so we're up to about an 84 rated, so pretty happy about that. And you see what a brilliant try that was. Brett Morrissey ends up scoring it in the end, but once again, just another team try. James Hart wasn't even involved in that play. That was just brilliant work there, just using the hands. That's all you need to do. This game tends to use their hands for a little bit, and then something happens and they sort of shit themselves and start using everything but the hands. Like they'll cut back inside and sometimes run over the sideline, just random things. And right before half time, probably our last chance of the half, or what we would have thought before they had a forward pass, but we decided to try and pop a field goal. Obviously didn't work out. We put it to the left. Hogginson and that weren't in position to do so, and we sort of just last minute thought, oh, there's only 1 minute left on the clock, why not pop it over? Obviously missed, and yeah, but James Hart, 100 points have already been scored, and he hasn't actually scored a point, so that's quite nice to have that happen. Just shows that we're just doing our job, still making plenty of meters and that sort of stuff, and you can see making try-saving tackles, which is what a fullback's supposed to do, but it still happened regularly. Now right here, we absolutely burned Dugan. We just got Hutchison to beat there. We got Matadi or someone as well. Maybe it's Alex Johnson. Probably Alex Johnson as well on our heels, but we end up holding him off, and James Hart scores his first try of the game. It was a really nice try. Usually we sort of just run around them. This time we palmed them off and then run around them, so that was really nice. It's a variation compared to the normal tries that we score. So it'd be nice if we can score a second try and just extend the lead. But 16-0, it's pretty much all but wrapped up. But Dylan Walker here, he's going to get an intercept. That was just a poor pass. Now, I think there might have been a call maybe from James Hart, I'm not really sure, but I don't know where the pass went wrong there. I don't know if there was deflection, I don't know what's to go there, but pretty poor pass there by whoever it was. And Dugan, he slots the extra, so it is 16-6. Now, one thing I've noticed is a little bit OP. There's a lot of OP things in this game, but go back to the short side when you've got the ball from a scrum. Obviously, your play's not very good at the start, so he probably can't throw a big pass, or you haven't got the speed to get on the outside of defenders most of the time. So just go back to the short side. The defenders don't really seem to know what to do. Do a bit of a zigzag, you're good to go. We have actually been doing a few kicks as well, and speaking of kicks, we're actually doing a kick return here, and that's what I would have thought would be in a poor pass, but it ends up being okay. You can see here, there is a huge break here. Hutchison, he's chasing hard. I think it is Brett Morris, and they're not going to be caught there. It's actually Timoteo Lafai ends up scoring his first try of the game, and it's nice to see Timmy Lafai back in the side after finding himself on the outer with Jacob Loco and a few of those sort of guys in the center position. Chase Sealing's another one. Josh Morris there putting in a kick, not something that happens too regularly, and is James Hart with the chase, and it was a pretty big chase there because the kick was straight down the throat of Dugan, so we need to shut him down quite quickly. But they do go back to the short side there, and yet again it is James Hart getting involved again, and this has been a really, really good game. I don't think there's really been any stuff ups. Maybe just there should have got to the ball, but I think it's Dugan pops up a second bomb, and it's going to be taken by Dylan Walker, who scores his second. And I've got to say, this second bomb that seems to happen, I swear, like, no one ever catches it from your team. It's always a try. That's what I feel anyways. I feel like, yeah, I mean, bombs, I don't really find bombs hard to take at all anymore. But, yeah, in terms of having that second bomb put up against someone else, it's, pretty much guaranteed try for the opposition. Anyways, you can see the Dragons, I don't know what the hell was going on there. They sort of held off us as we sort of changed direction, that sort of stuff, and there's a really nice offload there to Greg Eastwood and Michael Leachy getting involved, and back to Graham and back to James Hart there, but he is brought down, and that is actually full time, a pretty convincing win. But I gotta say, just good positioning for the grubber, and I gotta say, just that was a good performance in terms of positioning and just not trying to overplay ourselves, which is what tends to happen sometimes. We sort of go for the magic play a little bit too often maybe. But yeah, it's nice to get a win over a big team like the Dragons. Obviously, like I mentioned before, I think they were in third spot coming into that game, and also the Raiders, with us beating the Dragons, they might have worked their way up into like third or fourth position as well, but I'm pretty sure they're in the top four at this stage, so hopefully we can get a win over them and continue our run to the finals. And not only does this help us get to the finals, but it helps give us confidence that we're going to be able to beat these sides come the finals as well, because like I said, they're in the top four, so chances are if we want to go all the way, we're going to be coming up against them. So yeah, hopefully we can get a win here over the Raiders. And I got to say, a loss here might halt our momentum, and I feel like we just got to keep that momentum rolling all the way into the final. So I'm not sure if that means going the distance, like in terms of not losing another game. Remains to be seen, but I just mean that we just got to keep winning and playing well and not trying stupid stuff. Now James Hart ended up going for the tackle, and see Brett Morris was just palmed off by Jordan Rapana. Now Joseph Leilua, I'm aware he's a big unit on this game in real life as well, but on this game he's really, really good, and would have just palmed us off, I think, if we went for the high tackle for the R-pin. So he ended up just going for the low tackle. Obviously didn't work out too well because they got an offload away and they actually got a second pass. Obviously just a drawn pass there for Rapana. Brett Morris probably should have done a bit better, but he got palmed off, and I mean, I can't be mad at him. It is Brett Morris, he's scored a lot of tries for us, but there's a nice little kick, a little bit of a chip somewhat, but James Hart goes back and fields it, and he drives himself another 4 or 5 metres there, and then you see right here a nice little palm, and he gets a pass off to Greg Eastwood. So starting to get a little bit more involved is James Hart, obviously not doing a hell of a lot, but he's doing his part at the moment. And there's another tackle around the legs this time. It was on the first tackle as well, so we want to try and cut down the time in possession in terms of when there's line breaks being made. We want to try and get to them as soon as possible, otherwise you get field position like that, although you can't do it all the time. You got to assess the situation, and I felt that was a good opportunity because there was nobody else inside who I felt was going to make that tackle. So and it was a little bit annoying because in the end they ended up scoring with Papali, I think it was, but that's a really, really nice kick return. You see here's a foot race. We've got Whiten ahead of us, and we're going to cut back inside in between Whiten, in between Sam Williams and Joseph Leilua, and James Hart goes the distance from the kick return. What a brilliant try that was. That's probably the try of the season that we've actually had of this season. Season 1 we had a few really nice length of the field tries, some kick returns and that sort of stuff, but I feel this one's really, really nice. Last season we didn't really get too many, and this season a lot of it's just been in sort of just open play or whatever, just like second, third tackle or whatever. But this time it's broken line, broken defense, and we took advantage of that, and that gets us back into the game. It is 12-6. See right here, breaking the tackle and getting a pass off, which is quite nice. We're not expecting to break away from tackles, but it is happening pretty often at the moment. So we've got to be pretty quick on the triggers to make sure we get that ball off, just in case if something ends up popping up. Now nothing happened in that sort of play, but I just wanted to show that there was some really, really crazy ball movement going along. And you see right here, holding off a little bit too much, probably a little bit too long for what we would have liked. But I was hoping Lafayette would have got involved, but ended up coming up with another tackle there. But there is offloads after offloads, and thankfully they held up the ball a little bit, and we were able to get off one player and go and make the tackle, as well as I'm not sure who the second person was, but there's a few people that ended up making that tackling. See here, Daniel Mortimer, he's up against, I think it's Whiten, and we call for the ball just a little bit too early, but we're up against Jack Whiten, I think it is. It's another foot race. Can we cut back inside this time? No, we cannot. Sam Williams once again was there, and that was really annoying, but we're going to try and go for the line of self here. We put the arm out for a fend, but it'll be really nice. We've got Eastwood to the left of us, who just grabs the ball, puts on a little bit of a body feint and goes to the left, a little bit of a step, and ends up scoring a try. So we should be level any second now, as Hawkinson will step up and he'll kick the goal. So 2 from 2 there from Trent Hawkinson, and it is game on. We didn't start off great, but we've come home strong in this first half. You can see there, Joseph Falua is the one who makes a tackle, but just getting on the wrong foot on the outside of our defenders. But right here, absolute disaster here. James Hart throws, not quite intercept, but he threw it straight into the Raiders defender. Now, I'm pretty sure that would have been classed as a knock-on in real life, but you can see we're going to get quite lucky with Tim Laffey come up with a huge tackle and a strip there, and we got away with that one. It still will be 12-all at half-time, whether we deserve it or not. It's pretty poor play from James Hart, but he's really been playing well thus far this game if you take out that little play. So they kick it on the 4th, looking for a 40-20, I would assume here. This is in the second half, by the way. I'm not sure who it was who made the kick, but James Hart looking to punish them straight away. He comes up with a really nice kick return, sort of weaving his way through, getting his head through a gap there. A little bit of shame we didn't have anybody to support us properly, and a little bit of a shame that our players kind of not good enough at the offload. But Josh Morris just goes straight through there, straight through Edric Lee and someone else, Croker maybe. It was terrible. It was piss poor defence there from the Raiders, but we'll take it every day of the week. A top 4 side, you got to take those little things. Otherwise, you're going to get punished later down the road. So Edric Lee here, kick return, and it was Hogginson who made the kick. We're just really timing those runs really nicely now. They're always something we're all pretty decent at in terms of timing the runs for the kicks, but I think we got them down packed now. So we don't have to worry about that sort of stuff. There was a try saver just before. You can see here, going to be another involvement with us. We come up with a tackle there on the 4th tackle, so that's 2 tackles in a row, although there's a little bit of a time difference. And then we end up wrapping up what looks like Sam Williams on the last tackle as well, so got us out of trouble there. And there's a ball that's hit the deck, and I think it's Luke Lewis picks it up, gets it back to James Hart. Can he get around Jack White? And no, he cannot. It is the number 6 who ends up grabbing him, which I believe would be Blake Austin probably, but off this game it probably won't be. So you can see there, I'm looking for a field goal, but we did it a little bit too late, and they laid it on us for an age, so maybe there should have been a penalty, maybe not. But Hawkinson ends up launching up a bomb here. It's Luke Lewis under it, who tats it back. Probably ended up going forward, but they didn't give it, and we end up on the receiving end of a forward pass, or we end up benefiting from a forward pass there. And then James Hart just has too much speed, gets into the outside of his opponent, and it's a bit ironic that I was saying earlier, go to the short side, or more go back across where the scrum came from, but this time we just ran on the outside, and it does work sometimes, not all the time, and it just happened to work that time. Now looking for our 3rd try, it looks like we are going to be getting it. Josh Hodgson is chasing hard, as is the number 11. It's either Papali or Soliola, but they're not going to get anywhere near us there, and James Hart scores the 3rd try of the game. Now I'm not sure how many tries he scored this season, but I'd say he'd be getting up near the 30s if he hasn't already. And in terms of hat-tricks, I feel like that's his 3rd or 4th already this season. So what an excellent season James Hart having. Can he get a 4th? Can he get a 4th? Yes, he can. Well, that's what it looks like anyways. They're going up to the video ref, and it's looking like it's going to be a 4th try for us. So yeah, so decision pending. There's a try, and James Hart ends up scoring his 4th try of the game there. So 34-12. What a blowout this turned to be. And they also kick the goal as well. So 6 from 6 is Trent Hawkinson now. I believe the last time we scored 4 tries was against the Broncos. I don't know if we did it in the under-20s or anything. Probably not, but man, what a player James Hart has turned out to be. You see right here, looking for a 5th try, taking it around place, and he's around Whiten as well. And he's got Jared Croker coming across as well as Edric Lee, and they force him into the sideline there. And nearly ended up going into the cheerleaders just then. Probably wouldn't have been a bad thing, but yeah, James Hart, what a performance that was. 279 points he ended up getting, so nearly getting that 300-point mark, but 4 tries, excellent work there, and we haven't quite reached level 33, which is a little bit annoying, but we're getting there, and finally we take a look at the ladder, and we've hit the top 8, which is really, really nice. We're tied with Rabbitohs and Knights in sight, as well as the Seagulls and Panthers and stuff as well, so I mean, I suppose you can't rule out the top 4, but there's not really that many rounds left, so I don't know where we'll end up finishing, but top 8 is looking pretty good at this stage. Just got to keep on winning. So that's where the video is going to end. Hopefully you enjoy it. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Twitter at MrLukeMyT, place the page in the description below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.